When I say the words arm wrestling's greatest threat, you immediately think of somebody who possesses freakish power. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Wheels is the sort of man who possesses such power, and he's coming for the arm wrestling world. The question is, can he do it? And will he do it? Now, when it comes to strong humans, Larry Wheels is the epitome of that in many respects. As you can see him here, lifting up literal 100 kilo dumbbells in each hand. You can see Hafthor Bjornsson there firing the man up as it goes along. He's a beast. He genuinely is a phenomenal human. Everything he touches, he turns into a new PR. His whole brand, his business is built around the word PR. He continuously lifts the standard of strength. You can see him here even in the log press. You can see, look at the weight. It's over 200 kilos there, and he is rolling up, throwing it around. He is a strong human. I know that you guys know he's a strong human already, but I just needed to clarify it, just in case you guys have forgotten. Larry's a strong human. All right, but here's the problem. Larry is a strong human, but he's 0-3 from supermatches so far. Go! 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 0-3. Can Larry Wheels be a threat to elite arm wrestlers? It's a good question. I think what we need to do to understand this best is have a proper look, have a detailed look, have an analysis of his matches, of his strength, of his conditioning, and of his coordination. So let's have a look at the matches that he's done so far, and let's break it down. Go! Alright, so in early 2021, Larry Wheels had his first ever official arm wrestling super match against Schoolboy. You can see here, he got crushed. This is the opening round against Schoolboy. The high pronated side pressure from Schoolboy, isolating the wrist, and the lack of wrist flexion from Larry was a big factor. The bicep got involved from Larry, and Schoolboy, although unable to pin on the very first surge, in utter control of the hand and wrist and rotation. You can see Schoolboy very relaxed, very calm as Larry tries to implement that bicep strength he's got. He's leaving his hand and wrist behind. The shake of the head from Schoolboy was evident. Larry looks for a method of coming forward to try to curl his wrist, but once again it's the superior back pressure, pronation, and combination of technique from Schoolboy that is far superior, and with that big shake of the head, the final side pressure surge is imparted, and Larry Wheels is hammered to the pad. Guys, you see that? You see that? Larry Wheels hammered to the pad despite having a massively strong and superior, for that matter, bicep. What's going on? I'll tell you what is going on, guys. Now, before we get back to the action with Larry looking at his arm wrestles, I just needed to say, look, arm wrestling is a very specific strength sport. It takes a lot of years of conditioning in the hand and wrist, and in particular the elbow, in order to be able to impart your strength. Now, Larry has huge bicep strength. Think of it as horsepower in an engine versus traction in your tires. Without the traction, all that horsepower means nothing. So Larry is lacking traction. He's lacking conditioning in the sport at this point in time. Anyway, let's look back at more of his arm wrestling and see how his evolution continues. Now, let's fast forward into later on in the year 2021 up against Brandon Allen here. This is the second super match that Larry has had. Now, you can see here Brandon Allen straight into the King's move, and now Larry navigating that reasonably well. He's got his hand and wrist secured, but he's unable to go sideways. He really needs to work out a way to get Brandon Allen inside the hook. Now, Brandon Allen, he's struggling, he's burning, he's trying to find a way to climb over Larry's hand. Now, Larry's bicep is protecting his ability to defend. Now, there comes what you can see as Larry starts to curl his wrist in, and Brandon Allen steps up looking for the press. There it is, that bicep strength that we've been looking for. Now, if we look at the slow motion replay, you'll see here the critical thing was Larry was able to supinate his hand and wrist, allowing him to secure wrist flexion and get that traction, that horsepower on the bicep he needs. Brandon Allen stands up to look for the shoulder press to commit forward, and Larry drags sideways hard, using that bicep as his lead weapon, getting the victory. Alright guys, so we've just seen there between Larry's first and second match a big improvement in his ability to actually force the match to where he wants to go. Question is the conditioning there? Does he have endurance? Or is there another problem that he's yet to overcome? Alright, so the next problem that Larry needs to overcome is combat. It's skills, it's coordination, it's tactics, it's call it whatever you want to call it. It's not enough to just be strong in arm wrestling. You have to also have an ability to fight your opponent. At the end of the day, this is a human versus a human. It's not a human versus a bar loaded with weights. So that opponent of yours is going to dynamically change. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the next hurdle that Larry needs to overcome. So let's have a look at his next match that he had in his arm wrestling journey and see how he dealt with exactly that challenge.
Wrist.
Go!
Okay, so let's have a look in the slow motion replay. Why does he get crushed? Larry Wheels no longer using his bicep. You can see him leaning forward. He's looking to press outside of the straps against a man with an enormously strong hand and pronation as his main weapon. It's a really bad recipe. As Larry tries to commit forward, he has no genuine threat to the hand in a rising sense against Khaled. He has no genuine side pressure threat, and he voluntarily, wait for it, he will voluntarily supinate off the go, which gives Khaled, his opponent, everything. And here comes the start now from the referee. You'll see there it is, the supination. He comes forward, and it just gives Khaled free access to monstrous side pressure, ending in a disastrous round for Larry Wheels. Now, it's not all disaster for Larry. I don't want to be too harsh on the man because at the end of the day, he's jumped straight into the deep end. So there is a solution, and he's headed in the right direction. So now let's have a look at what comes next in the life or evolution of Larry Wheels. At this point in time in Larry Wheels' journey, a lot of people were starting to question whether he had any ability as an arm wrestler. Let me reassure you, he does. I've personally met with Larry Wheels, I've personally arm wrestled him, and I personally am incredibly impressed with his strengths. Now, the thing is, he's gone about this in the absolute opposite order of operations compared to every other arm wrestler on earth. Everyone else starts with the grind. They start with their local tournaments, their state tournaments, their national tournaments, and they work themselves up to international exposure super matches. Larry, with his brand, Larry with his exposure, has jumped straight into the deep end. So it's okay for Larry to take some losses. It really is. The most important thing is that he goes out there and gathers the data in getting as many starts as he can. Now, tournaments is where he's going to be best at doing that. And that is exactly, ladies and gentlemen, what Larry has done. Larry has just recently traveled to the Over the Top Down Under tournament in Australia and has got himself his first ever tournament experience. So let's have a look at that, and then we'll revisit why this is so very important. All right, literally, you're about to see Larry's first ever arm wrestle in a tournament. Here he is at the Over the Top Down Under tournament in the Gold Coast, Australia. He's against an opponent who, to be honest, has only about 1 year's worth of experience, not as physically strong as Larry. So this should be a good opening round for Larry to settle the nerves. You'll watch here as the ref script happens. You'll see Larry start to implement his strengths, his wrist flexion, his bicep strength, and there it is. Good hand control, good side pressure gets the job done. Now, moving forward, Larry then faces Ethan Tunstall. He is a very technical arm wrestler. Same amount of time in the sport as Larry, not as strong as Larry, but a very proficient technical arm wrestler. A good challenge. Scared Larry a lot, but Larry in the straps getting the job done. Larry then faces Sam Burnett, the #1 ranked 80 kilo arm wrestler in Australia, and you can see his hand control is too good for Sam and gets the victory. Now, Larry then faces the #3 ranked arm wrestler in Australia, Mario Tambakas, and he gets his first idea that, oh, there are levels to this, and taking the loss to Mario. Now, this is Larry's most impressive win to date, in my opinion. This is the 100 kilo New Zealand national champion, Charles Puri. And Larry forces the hook, drives sideways, keeps it in his lane. And then finally he faces me, and I'm sorry to give Larry the final update to his story, but it was a flash pin from me. Enough strength, enough execution to get the job done on Larry this time. Yo, Larry, I am sorry, brother. I didn't mean to eliminate you. Actually, yes, I did. There's $10,000 on the line. I'm sorry. There's more to it. We know. There's more to it, but I'm sorry. All right, so Larry had a fantastic tournament experience. He did everything right. He got to experience, 5 official ready goes. He won 3 matches, lost 2, only losing to the #3 ranked and #2 ranked arm wrestlers in Australia, Mario Tambakas and myself. And subsequently, he gets to feel the truth. I always say that when you practice pull, people give you what you need, they feel your strength, they allow you into your lanes. Remembering right back to the beginning of this video, we said that it's the conditioning and the combat awareness that Larry lacks most. going to tournaments like Larry just did will give him more of that than anything. He goes away knowing the truth. And what I mean by the truth is that people like myself, like Mario, we took things from him in the setup through superior knowledge and of tactics and execution. We took things that became advantages. We took things that allowed us to just amplify our own strengths better. Larry felt them for the first time. He'll go away and remember, oh, okay, that's what it takes to not have that happen to me again. He'll now better use his bicep to create threat. There's a whole lot that Larry will have learned from that. In fact, after we did that coaching session, I gave Larry some hands-on guidance on how to set up the strap correctly, how to access that freakish power that he possesses. And I'll be honest, it immediately went to the point where he was ripping my arm off at will. Once he gets in the correct lanes, the man is a genuine monster. And every bit of the word, he is very much the greatest threat to arm wrestling. All right, now hold up. I know what you guys are going to say to me. How could Larry possibly be the greatest threat to arm wrestling when there are humans like Levan Saganishvili in existence? Surely Larry is never going to catch Levan, right? Now look, of course, I'm going to agree with you on that sentiment. Larry is not going to catch Levan anytime soon. Levan has, 80 pounds of extra body weight on him. He's got an extra inch on his wrist. And the man is built very specifically for arm wrestling. But here's the thing. Larry Wheels has proven that he can get to the top of humans within his chosen discipline. He's now choosing arm wrestling. And wind the clock forward a bit. I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that when Larry dials in his arm wrestling strengths, when Larry achieves his conditioning, and heaven forbid if Larry put on an extra 80 pounds of body weight, I think all of a sudden he does legitimately become a threat to Levan. Time will tell, but ladies and gentlemen, you cannot rule that out. Larry is strong enough to make it. Larry has the desire to make it. Larry just needs time with more tournaments, time spent with the right people guiding him, and I am certain that he will make it as an elite in the sport. The man is a monster. I can't wait to see what he does next, and only good things from here. See you guys.